Welcome back to my channel, fellow gardeners. Today I'd like to introduce to you the flame violet plant, which is this one. It's actually related to the African violet and I'm really excited. This is my trophy because I've looked everywhere and suddenly I found it. And I thought, let me show you how to propagate this plant so you too can enjoy the plant. My name is Alice and I'm the Red Soil Gardener. Now, today, as I mentioned, this is the flame violet plant, and it is related to the African violet, but the leaves are more or less similar in terms of feel, but very different from the African violet because it has these lovely silver veins that actually go out and makes it so more attractive. And you do get so many different types of cultivars and so many different colored flowers. I have this crimson red flower which just appears from its foliage like that, but as it dies out you will get more blooms, and I will explain why. Now, the beautiful thing about this plant is, first of all, it is a plant that likes indirect sun, and you can have it in hanging baskets. In fact, basically a lot of people prefer it in hanging baskets because what happens with this plant is you get these stolons, which are baby plants that are attached to the mother, and as it does appear, it starts off like this and then it hangs, and then once again here's where you'll have your flowers. So you can make this incredible hanging basket with all these colors of its foliage and its flowers. Now, what sort of soil would you put the plant in? I have actually done organic, and basically this is my organic mix, which is actually very airy. It's full of compost inside. It's full of bark, all sort of, well, basically compost and a bit of potting soil. But this is what I feel that the plant can do well. And the beautiful thing about this soil mixture, it does keep it moist, but it doesn't keep it soggy. So now let's talk about the water requirement. Now with this plant, because we understand that it does like to have its soil slightly moist, is that when you do have to water it, first of all, do your finger test to make sure that your soil is okay. But then what I would actually do with this plant is, as you water it, I would give it 2 soaks. So let it go straight down through the drainage hole, one, and then the second time let it go right through, and then you're good to go. Another method, what I would do is, like here, is I would water it from the bottom. In that way the roots get the moisture, and also continue to give it drops of water from the top. But I think it's very important to actually keep, to have the saucer so that you can have the moisture near the roots. So another thing is that, as I mentioned earlier, is that people do have this as an indoor plant, and it does do well inside the house. Again, indirect sun, not close to the window because you don't want to have the leaves scorched, but at the same time is that do keep this further away, but too far out means that you won't get any blooms. But even if you are in that situation, I think the leaves do compensate a lot for the flower. If you do have the plant as an indoor plant, don't have it near a place that you get a lot of heat, like the radiator. Or if you do have the plant as an indoor plant, don't put it in the window where as you open it, it gets a draft. It doesn't like draft, it doesn't like heat. And second thing is that when you do have it, is don't mist the plant. If you have to be in a situation that your home is very dry, I would just do a pebble tray, put the pebbles and make sure that the plant actually sits on top of the pebbles and not in the water, because you will get root rot if it does absorb the water. Now, again, because with this particular plant, what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to use it as a hanging, not necessarily in a hanging basket, but I'm going to put it on a platform so that it hangs over. But at the same time, I would like to show you a propagation. So in order to propagate, I need to get these babies and also use them for propagation purposes. Now, propagation of this plant is very simple. And this is the beauty about it. Now, as I mentioned first, is that we have these leaves. Now, we can propagate from leaves. I've never tried it before, but we can try it today. Is basically what you do. Do you want me to do it here? What you do is you go into your plant. Let's look for a good leaf. Is like here. So I'm going to go in here and take that one leaf, and then I may even go down here and take that one, and then what I'll do here is go in here and take that cutting. What I have here is I have a bit of soil, again organic soil, but then what I did put in it is vermiculite so that it can retain some of the moisture, so especially for my propagation. So what I've done here is I've taken 4 leaves out of my flame violet, and what I'm simply going to do in this propagation recycled plastic container is I'm going to take the leaf and actually just put it in, just like that. So that's one. Again, make the hole, take the stem and submerge the stem, just like that. Just want to make sure. And the thing about these leaves, they don't really like to touch water. So you have to be careful, because otherwise what happens is they do rot. So even as you water your plant in the pot, try not to get the water on the leaves, because you could be inviting rot or some fungal disease. So even as the propagation, I'm just going to make sure my leaves are more or less standing so that we have no real contact with water. So there you have a simple leaf propagation, and we will follow it up and also give you the update picture of the plant. Now, what we do next, so that is one type of propagation. So what we'll do next is actually separate the babies from the mother and use that as a propagation. So now, as we look at these plants here, is we notice that these plants do start as this. It's like a runner. It's attached to its mother. And actually is that if you do separate it from the mother simply by cutting here, like that, is just going to remove that, I can actually take this baby and put it in the soil, and it will actually develop into an independent plant, just simply like this. Just make sure it's submerged. Hold on, I'm not doing it correctly. Let me use my hands. So here we go. Here we go. So what I've done is actually submerged it in the soil like that, and that will grow. So I'm going to put that one aside, and then we will, I'm just going to remove that. And there is another baby here, but what I noticed with this baby, it's a bit flimsy, so I'm not sure whether I should touch it, or what I'll simply do is submerge it close to the mother here and then look for another baby. So we'll just leave that one there. So what happens is that as as the babies form, the runners or the stolon, is that they do shoot out from the mother plant like that. And as it gets longer and develops, it sort of hangs over. So this is the initial stage of it actually starting to form its independence. So if I look in here, I did see something like this one here. There it is. And what I'm going to do with this one is simply again separate it from its mother, and then again put it in here like this and submerge the base of the plant in here. I might remove some of these leaves here and just put it in the soil like that. Simple. And I think this method is actually quicker than waiting for your leaves. However, if you don't have these runners, it's best to actually go, if you don't have these runners, it's easier to propagate using the leaves. So there you are. Now, this is abundance for me. So we will follow it up on Instagram, and we'll also give you an update of all these plants and show you what the development is with these plants. So don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to press that notification button. We do upload every Thursday, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and do share it out with your friends, your families. We do have a lot of fun, and we do simple propagation step by step. So don't forget that we are on Instagram. I do a lot of postings every week. We post about my dogs and also all the flowers that are blooming in my garden. And don't forget to send me your comments. I love your comments. And if you do have a problem, do contact me. I always try to solve it with you. So happy gardening, everybody, and thank you, and bye-bye.